Welcome to the White Collection, an extraordinary display of the most incredible Porsches in the world. Until recently, this had remained largely unseen. However, in the not too distant future, a large part will be heading to auction with RM Sotheby's. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today here in Houston, Texas to take a look around this facility and breathtaking presentation, almost museum-like preservation of some of the finest Porsches ever made. Not only that, but cars in completely unique and bespoke specifications, delivery mileage, incredibly rare, and supplemented by the most amazing memorabilia, from furniture to bikes to collections of literature, the presentation items that came supplied with each vehicle. And it's not often you get an opportunity to take a look around, so join me to visit the White Collection. This is truly mind-blowing. The variety of cars and the way that they are presented, from the Targas and Speedsters through the special Carreras that we have here. As you come round, limited editions, and all of the cars have a story, have a reason behind them. A truly remarkable 918 Spyder, the GT products, GT3 RSs, GT2s, the GT2 RS Visac with the most bespoke specification that you could ever imagine. We're going to be taking a good look at that. Over here, the 911R, the turbos, turbo looks, the Porsche tractors. This is something that we need some time to take in. Clearly, there is a phenomenal amount to take in, from the museum appearance, the way the cars are presented, but everything that comes with them, which is what you're going to see more of when we head upstairs. Now, over 50 of the cars from the White Collection are part of the RM Sotheby's auction on the 1st and 2nd of December, along with 500 pieces of memorabilia. But as we head around, you'll see the unique specs, understand more about the preservation of each car and their themes. So we start here with the Targas and the Speedsters and the different white paints. The first car up here in pearlescent white metallic is the 991 Targa GTS. Next to that, we have the first of many cars we're going to see in Grand Prix white, a very popular color within the collection, the 964 Targa. We come past to another, the same color, the 911S Targa. And in fact, next to that, another of the same in medium ivory. These themes, though, are no better given as an example than by this, the 991.2 Speedster, 1,948 cars. In fact, the Porsche company being founded back in that year. This car in Grand Prix white metallic over this interior. Come and take a look at what we have here. And in fact, this car is being retained by the owner as part of the collection, but featuring blue carbon fiber for the mirrors, the blue add-ons on the side, and inside the full extended yachting blue interior. CCX options galore, absolutely stunning, and very much a theme of the White Collection that you're going to see a fair bit more of as we make our way through. Now, coming past to some of the previous generations of the Speedster as well, the 997.2, of which there were 356 cars, the link back to the 356. We then have the 993 Carrera Cabriolet. Coming beyond that, we get to a 964 Speedster. We then have a very rare one of 250, 911 964 America Roadster, before another 964 or earlier Speedster, and a 911 Cabriolet. And we've got an unusual line of cars behind. We've got a 928 just here, but then a few different additions to the collection, things that perhaps aren't so obvious, but came through a partnership with Tom Goodrich and the restorations he did. So for example, the very small cars that you could argue are almost over-restored here, the Kleinschnittke next to the BMW Isetta, before we get to the Dune buggy, which typically would be incredibly VW based, in this case, Porsche based. Spot the wheels, for example, the Fuchs wheels along with a Porsche engine. Now, a few other cars are here in this lineup, the Beetle, Frog Guts, as it's known. These cars came from the TG restorations, the Ford Model 18 Coupe, and then lastly, we have the Ford Pickup again, but we've skipped past a couple here. In fact, we have here the 944 Turbo Cup, race car based on 944 platform. We then have the 924 Martini edition. Come and have a look at the interior of this. Finished with the orange carpets, the Martini striping, and the details that have been added to it. That's really, I think, making a comeback, to have quite wild interiors a little bit like that. 914/6, 914-4s are very easily available. The 6s a little bit rarer, the 8s incredibly rare. These are quite fun. It was the baby entry Porsche. I actually want to show you a little bit more of what's next though, the Heritage Design Edition. This particular example was actually the very last of the 992 models to be produced of the Targa 4S Heritage Design Edition, the first of the Heritage Design Edition cars. Again, very high PTS specification. In fact, $175,000 over MSRP of options from exclusive manufacturer. The paint is PTS pure white. We have the gold metallic details over the bodywork, also the gold metallic wheels. Inside, I have to show you this. It features a pebble blue interior with the graphite grey stitching and additional details. Again, very, very bespoke, but being the very final car of its type, I think really adds something extra special to what that is about. We move next to the line of turbo and turbo look cars, starting with the 930, 911 Turbo Carrera, the first year they were available in the United States. We then have another 930, again in the medium ivory that we saw before. After here, we come to the 911 M491 Turbo Look. So we're talking cars with turbo appearance, for example. Another with the white over red color scheme. Again, we're back in the late 1980s at this generation. The familiar Porsche style furniture has to be in white, doesn't it, as we come through? Another 930 Turbo. We've then got the 930 slant nose cabriolet with this 935 inspired flat front end, pop-up headlights tucked away. We have the flat bow, the 965 Turbo S from 1994. We come to a 993 Turbo S, one of only 183, in fact, that car, before finally a PTS Turbo S exclusive series. Now, these are incredibly limited to begin with, only 500 cars. When it comes to PTS, I believe only a handful were actually finished in bespoke paint colors, but the Turbo S exclusive series at the time, the most powerful 911 that had ever been introduced, carbon fiber exposed stripes up the front and the detailing to the wheels and beyond as you go all around the car as well. Before we move to the GT cars and discuss some of the absences you've perhaps wondered about, we've got to talk about this center stage setup like no other. In fact, we begin with the 993 Carrera RS, and this is one of the only times I would ever skip so quickly past a car like that, because I want to talk about what's next to it, something I didn't know about before, one of only two in the world of its type, the 964 Carrera RSR 3.8 Sonderwunsch Straßenversion, meaning road car, one of only two with an interior as insane as this. There were 51 in total. It's literally a race car version of the 964, except with an interior you're about to see. Now, again, we have the Grand Prix white. Check out the wheels in the amethyst metallic over the golden calipers behind. Really quite a cool contrast. But when it comes to the inside of this, come and have a look at what we have here, the can red leather, but not just a little bit of leather. Remember, this is a race car. You wouldn't normally find any of it. And even in a road car, you would have a leather dash, leather steering wheel, leather seats. But look at the extent of the extended leather on every single surface. In fact, even the air conditioning vents and the chrono surrounds all have the white leather to accent them. Check out the roll cage. Of course, that's metal, but completely wrapped in the red leather. Even behind the seats, behind the white back seats down there, you actually have the hydraulic jacks wrapped in red carpet to disguise them in the back of it. This is a race car with a road-esque interior, and it took so long to make the two of them to complete the specifications. This car was actually delivered 2 years after the end of the 964 production. What a story. We come next to the Carrera RS, the 964, and then a pair of the 1973 2.7 RSs. Now, these are often considered the first Porsche supercar, the precursor to the likes of the 959, the Carrera GT, the 918 Spyder, the Mission X going forwards. We have the lightweight specification and the touring specification with the different color schemes as well. But we began earlier with this car over here, and we need to talk about it. This is the Carrera RS 3 litre from 1974, a homologation special of which they only made 55 cars, incredibly limited, and a development in many ways from the 2.7 RS we were looking at before. This car again finished in Grand Prix white over the gold accents and details and the wider Fuchs wheels, which actually house disc brakes from the 917. Now along with that you also have a reinforced chassis, reinforced suspension, you have the midnight leatherette for the interior that you can see in here, but very much stripped out raw homologation version, meaning the road going variant of its race car sibling, even down to having the racing latches, again the gold RS detail that you have on the boot lid with the engine back under there, that whale tail spoiler that you have hanging out of the back of it as well. This thing is super rare, one of 55 as I said, super cool. I absolutely love the detail and the attention to detail of some of the cars that have been brought together in the collection here. What you're about to see is, for me, what makes this even more special. This is the storage area for all of the memorabilia, car parts, literature, preservation of everything supplied with the cars, many different items that will be featured in the auction, rows upon rows of incredible things. In fact, you see the bicycles beside me, the race suits and clotheswear, but even the way that it's all stored and sorted. Here we have all of the radio accessories, antennas, parts for future cars perhaps, steering wheels of different generations stored away, badges, everything that's been organized, and it takes so much work to be on top of this, to keep everything this neatly looked after and prepared. And I can only begin to imagine what's had to go into this. Toolkits, accessory kits, detailing parts, all of the race suits, as I mentioned, every item that will have a story, that will have a reason, where it came from, what it did, what it was supplied with. Over here, we've got model cars, we've got some of the Lego Porsche models as well, some dioramas, different scale models. I love these kind of things for displaying various models. But to collect all of this, to put it all together, is no easy feat. Things that link to different cars. Over here I'm spotting some Porsche 918 things, the different lots, Carrera GT parts and things that are around as well. Luggage sets and suitcases. Over here we've got some sporting equipment. We've got a golf bag. We've got a skateboard deck, the Porsche Skatester, like a Boxster or a Speedster. We've got the sled. We've got snow things. We've got skis. We've got various different Porsche skis, the 918 Spyder skis, the Porsche design skis, all of this that takes so much to bring it together. Look at the books, the literature, the different eras, the different stories, everything again categorized by its different type, its different stories. And this is mind-blowing. Sales literature from each year, each period, all of the different books, brochures, specification options. I love things like that, the Porsche badge that's hanging down from the ceiling, more books, more literature, more owner's manuals, instruction manuals for sound systems in the different cars. Keep coming through, it goes on and on. This is dreamland, more older heritage documentation, different files, different folders. And in fact, I'm actually standing right now next to more furniture, more Porsche design furniture. It's amazing how many things have been in the Porsche realm over the years, and as we keep coming through, this is where everything's sorted by the different cars. These are stacker boxes linking to the cars, of course, the things that will be supplied with the cars when they move to new homes, and I try and do a bit of that with my own collection. We've got more of the luggage, the Remover suitcases from Germany. We've got fitted luggage, no doubt, for plenty of different Porsche models, even the different plaid patterns and things that we have on them, the junior cars, pedal cars, the Porsche 918 Spyder, we've got the acid green down here. All of this, it takes so much to bring it all together. And we move to the posters, and these are all by year, all individually laminated. The collection of posters here is again from another world. Just to open a random drawer, everything is filed, some in different languages, all of the different materials, different advertising pieces from over the years, all collected and all stored together. And I suppose as we get to the more recent years, say here, this must be kind of Carrera GT era, are we? GT3 RS. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. There we go, Carrera GT. I am mind blown by all of this. Honestly, it's really There's Special, and then there's the White Collection Special. And a memorabilia collection like this, there are very few places in the world and people who would be able to do this, who would have the resource, time, mindset to make this kind of collection happen. Even over here, look at this on display, the limited edition 918 Spyder lounge set of furniture. The way that that's presented also. But let's come over to the next run of 911s that begins with a 911 50th anniversary, a limited edition model that celebrated 50 years of the 911 since 1963. And come and take a look inside this. Again, lots of CCX custom options, the extended brown leather over the houndstooth interior that you see within the seats. Totally awesome. And lots of the cars are the manual gearboxes, preserved, very low mileage. In fact, just 23 miles showing on the car. And I would bet that all of the packaging and details and materials that it came with are all preserved as well. If we continue beyond, we have the 997.2 Sport Classic, one of only 250 in total. Of course, we've recently seen the new model launching. We've got a 993 C4S, another 993 C4S. Those are going to be retained. As we keep coming through, apologies for the air conditioning. As you can imagine, it's pretty hot out here in Texas, but we've got a 964 RS America. Next to that, 911 Carrera Coupe, one of only 28 911 Club Sports. We've then got the Martini edition of the 911 SC from 1978. We've got a 911 Rest of World Carrera MFI from 1975 and the 911 Coupe from 1965 that finishes the line in Dolphin Grey. Lots of different PTS colours. Let's head over there. I've got to confess, I'm not an expert at this era, but we've got the 356 SC, we've then got a 356B. This 356A actually has a race-bred engine from the 550 Spyder, which makes it really quite something. We've got a 356A Speedster, and then lastly, just for here, we have the 356 Continental. Over on the opposite side, we've got a 993 Targa, we've got the 944 S2 Cabriolet. We even have a pair of Porsche diesel junior tractors. Porsche, of course, often known that tractors were a part of the history. And lastly, we have the 356 1500 plus over here, some of the junior cars that are also all part of this. That's the thing with the memorabilia, the different junior cars that make up the lineup. I love that kind of thing. Oh my goodness, where do we begin? Now, I want to quickly mention that some of the cars that actually used to reside right here have already been sold. The likes of a Carrera GT, 959, and a new 935 as well. But the cars we're still surrounded by, my word. Let's come back to some of the options that are on the more recent editions and head over here just for a moment. This is the GT3s and GT2s really. The 993 GT2 that kicks us off at the end. Next to that, the 996 GT2, the 997 GT2. The GT2s and GT2 RSs have always been the widow makers, dangerously powerful with the turbo engines and rear driven as opposed to all-wheel drive. We've got a run of GT3 RSs. We have the 997.1, the first gen, then the facelift to the 997.2 came after that, before the 991.1. And the code names behind these things, 993s, 964s, 996s, 997s, 991s, and the new 992s, all incredibly confusing and complicated, but you spot the specification, right? This white paint, Grand Prix white, the blue detailing on the exterior of the car, and then on the interior to show you, finished completely throughout, even with the 918 bucket seats, with the yachting blue leather all around, creating some really bespoke, truly wonderful examples of each of the different cars. And that's what finishes this collection off beyond anything else. Just the focus and attention to everything, the way the cars are kept and preserved. And when it comes to specifications, I'm walking between the 918 and the GT2 RS. There are no finer examples than those, and we will get to them in just a moment, because over here is the 911R. And in many ways, the new 911 ST is the follow-up to this. The 991, there were 991 of them. Again, very few, I think about 50 of the near on 1,000 cars in PTS paints. And here we have the Grand Prix white with the blue vinyl detailing over the top, even the paint matched wheels. And again, you won't be surprised to know that we have a yachting blue interior, but finished with the houndstooth inlays within it as well. So just the icing on the cake on a car that wears just 19 miles on its odometer, serviced, maintained and looked after right here at the collection, regularly moved and run and operated as you'd hope with cars like this. I'm in dreamland right now, but let's move to these two. Porsche never gave a number behind the 991.2 GT2 RS, but it's believed to be a good few thousand, 5,000 or 6,000 cars perhaps in total. But I don't think any other wore a specification as bespoke as this particular example. The options over MSRP total more than the cost of the car. In fact, a total of $640,000, of which $344,000 were the bespoke options. This is as unique as a GT2 RS could ever be. We have the Grand Prix white paintwork, but also all of the other parts, like the vent surrounds here, the lower front splitter, all of the inserts and details which would normally be in black plastic are also painted to match. Not only that, the exposed carbon fiber areas, like the front bonnet, the hood, are in blue tint carbon fiber with blue tinted carbon throughout. Here for the louvres, the door mirrors, the roof, the spoiler with the Porsche text painted over the top of it, the intake sections there, even the wheels are actually painted in the same navy blue to match. And again, the diffuser and lower bumper areas also. Come and take a look inside the car and it continues. Again, 17 miles, delivery mileage on the car with the familiar interior finish and detailing all the way through to the rear section of the car as well. That almost storage space that you have, of course, lacking the roll cage due to the inability to specify that in the United States, and the Weissach RS badging over towards the passenger side. This is the definition of working with Porsche when it comes to creating a bespoke vehicle. You couldn't get more personalized than that. And of course, the color scheme continues here with the 918 Spyder, a car that has been drawing a lot of attention, one of 918 examples, and potentially, again, one of the highest spec'd examples in the world. The paint color, the matching wheels, the silver brake calipers, as opposed to the acid green that you traditionally find. Car number 656 of the 918s, and in fact, a matching number that you also saw on the lounge set that we were looking at earlier. This car just presented beautifully, as you'd expect, delivery mileage, the familiar interior. I'm going to show you, even though I think you know what to expect in here with the yachting blue. Absolutely glorious, magical. It's recently had a new 12-volt battery, because unknown to many, there's actually a separate 12-volt battery to the hybrid powertrain, and both require maintaining and of course can separately require replacement, but every car serviced in every possible way when required. And this is just this view, the cars here, the entire setup has left me fairly speechless today. I'm honestly amazed, and one of the most impressive things I think of a collection like this is how, until only a couple of years ago, this was anonymous, this was unknown. The pride and joy of the owner, who's now made the decision to sell many of the cars. As I said, over 50 of them will be part of the RM auction coming up. But to have preserved everything like this takes an obsessive attention to detail, a focus on everything around the cars, their stories, their historical significance, speccing the cars, choosing options, choosing which ones to acquire and add to the overall collection. And while it might sound strange that some have already left, to me, walking in here has just been, I had a moment of, what is this? What is this place? How is this possible? And it's the owner's passion that helped make that happen, that helped bring all of this together. And I'm truly in admiration of that, to have collected things in this way, with this focus, the memorabilia, all of the extra details, the cars, and being brave enough to do it. Being brave enough to do it is a big deal, because not many people would. The time commitment, the mindset commitment to pull it all together. But it's time for the cars to find new homes. It's time for the cars to be in museums, driven. It remains to be seen exactly what's going to be happening with them. But we head back to where we began, and there's no way I could pick a favorite car. There's no way I could pick one car if you were to give me the opportunity to take one for a drive. But I think in many ways the beauty actually does come from the fact that the cars are preserved like this, that they do in many cases have delivery mileage. And while I'm a person who will take delivery of a car and go out and drive it, I think the fact that this has all happened together, the fact that this is all in one place, all put together like this, has a character and a charm and a quality to it that is unmatched, that is simply unmatched anywhere. So I would like to say a huge thanks to the team here at the White Collection, the owner of the White Collection, and the team at RM Sotheby's for the opportunity to come and take a look and to share this collection with you. Do check out the links down below if you'd like to find out more about the cars coming up. And in fact, in any particular car, there's a lot more information about that example, about the specification, the mileage, the history, and the different stories behind it. So I'd thoroughly recommend taking a read through. You might find yourself there for a while. And of course, some of the cars on Exclusive Car Registry as well, for me to do even more research about them prior to being here. What an amazing day. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you again to everyone involved. I hope you've enjoyed this video, but that's it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.